In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
This is the No Off Days podcast. I'm Scott Smith. We got Chris Cato to my left. We have BK in the booth, and this is going to be an all-football show here, Chris.
Those are our favorite kind.
I hope you're ready,
think, right?
Well, actually, hang on. Let me backpedal just a bit because I hate when we miss big stories, and I feel like we missed one last week. Kind of snuck through. It was right after we taped the show, and so we have to go back. Hot dog eating competition.
Oh, big news! Yeah.
Sans Joey Chestnut. Okay, so he wasn't in it. The 16-time champ. I mean, there is no competition if Joey's not in it, and there's usually no competition when he is in it because he's running the table. But hats off to Patrick Bertoletti, who he scarfed down 58 dogs in 10 minutes at Coney Island to win his first ever mustard yellow belt and opened the door for him. But it's probably going to close very quickly when Joey gets back in it next year. But guess who finished second again?
The Esper guy, the guy you mentioned.
He just can't get through. You know what I'm saying?
That's his spot.
Jeffrey Esper, yeah. He came up just shy.
How many dogs shy was he?
Oh, I think he was right there.
Was
I don't know what he finished with. But
heartbreaking.
Yeah, you do all that damage to yourself, and you still can't get across the threshold.
Maybe
there.
next year.
But what I found was incredible was that, Joey Chestnut did his own little competition.
He's not going to let a 4th of July go by without scarfing
of course
hot dogs.
Not. I mean, you can't celebrate the birth of our nation, essentially, without him doing this. So he actually competed in another event, his own event in El Paso, Texas, called the Fort Bliss Meet and Greet. And yes, meat was spelled M-E-A-T.
Naturally.
And he did, in a 5-minute competition, Chris, 57 hot dogs. So he was one shy of the winning total at Coney Island in half the time.
They get 10 minutes at Coney Island.
10 minutes.
And he scarfed 57 in 5.
So
that's just, he's trolling them. He's just down there trolling them.
Right. Could he have gone 114 in 10 minutes? No, he probably would have slowed up in the back half,
I guarantee.
Right?
So his all-time record, I looked, was 72 dogs. He said I think he
so
could
that pace would have.
He could have beaten that. So Joey, I think his next feat though is the big Kobayashi showdown.
Yeah,
I think
that's Netflix, right?
Yeah, Labor Day weekend, I believe.
That whets the appetite.
I'll be watching that. Yeah. That'll be interesting.
Well, we're gonna have a watch party at Brian's house, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what we said. Yeah.
Are we coming over? You want us to bring the hot dogs, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, let's go along with it. Let's see if we can keep up.
Oh no.
We could do that. Would you? Could you bring yourself to do the sopping technique where they dip it in the lemonade or the water?
I could not do that. I mean, that's the part that really, the scarfing it down doesn't bother me. It's that wetting the buns and then just, piling those in your mouth.
Yeah, I don't like to see it becomes liquefied. I don't like to see that.
Yeah. All right, so we're talking football this week,
We are talking football. Go check in with Dave Canales, see how he's doing up there in Charlotte, and see what his thoughts are coming up facing the Bucs this year. It's got to be new for him, and so he is. He's a nice guy. It's a repeat.
It's a repeat guest.
Yeah.
We don't have many of them.
Probably a reason for that.
No. A one and done.
No, they're clamoring to come back. It's just, but last time we talked to him, we only knew him as offensive coordinator. We were actually just getting to know who this new offensive coordinator was for the Bucs. And here we go. You bat your eye, and he's a head coach now in the NFL. So.
Wow.
It's going to be fun to watch, and we get to compete against him here in the NFC South. And then at the end of the show, BK.
What do you say we bring out the randomizer again? So
that's always a hit.
Is the randomizer ever not out? I mean, it's kind of always sitting there, ready to spit out questions.
But sometimes we kind of ignore it. But it's time to bring it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Got some questions and see what it spits out for you guys tonight.
All right. Very good. We'll catch up with you at the end of the show. Thanks, BK. All right, if you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/nodpod. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, take out your phone. You can actually zap that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and it'll send you to our show page where you can catch all of our episodes. You can subscribe, fox13news.com/nodpod. Please give a 5-star, like, review, share with your friends and your enemies. They will thank you for it. All right, so as mentioned, NFL season, it'll be here before you know it, and in our lead up, just like we did last year, we want to do a preview of every division and give Chris and I's opinion on how we think it's going to shake out at the end of the season. We will rank these teams, and we're going to lead it right up to the beginning of the season. So I had to, quickly look at a calendar and say, we got to get this thing going. So it's this week. We're starting in the AFC West this week, Chris.
Okay, AFC West.
So
Got
we're
it.
gonna rank our teams and see how they shake out and what are the differences between you and I. I'll let you. I think we start from probably the team that we think is going to win it, and we'll work our way down to the team that we have finishing last, because we're probably on the same page with at least the winner.
Yeah, I think this is a good division to start with because I think the winner is really obvious again, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. You're two-time defending Super Bowl champions going for the three-peat, and I think as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is there, Travis Kelce, they kept Chris Jones, I think they're going to be the belle of the ball again there in the AFC West. I like what they did in the offseason, and with what else we have in the AFC West, I don't see them having like a real challenge in this division.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have KC finishing number one in the AFC West as well, 11-6 last year. In fact, I have them improving this year, so I put them at 13-4. I got them a 13-win team, and I kind of had to look for the losses, to be honest, but they addressed the main position group that they needed to. Last year, obviously, it was the receiving core, and look, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a local guy. He was, he has been shipped off, but they needed a little bit more star power to be paired with Patrick Mahomes, and I think they did that. They went out and got Marquise Brown. They drafted Xavier Worthy. They brought back McCole Hardman, a guy that knows the offense. And then, it's another year for Rashee Rice, who had a breakout season last year. I think you address the receiving room. They brought back Chris Jones, as you mentioned. The defense misses a couple of guys in L'Jarius Sneed and Willie Gay Jr., but that defense under Spags, I think they've just been
They still
fantastic.
have Trent McDuffie.
Yeah, I mean, they're really good. I don't see anybody challenging them seriously within the division. So we agree.
I do, and I've got it 12-5 for their record.
Okay,
I do want I think the biggest question for them this season is, do we see an on-field marriage proposal at the end of the season? I think that's the next step in this relationship, right?
Between
Mahomes and Kelce. No, between Kelce and Swifty. I mean, the NFL's got to take this to another level now.
That's the one storyline. I almost forgot about that. And now you just brought it all back out. I don't want that to be the storyline this year.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It will always. Yeah.
The NFL got so many more eyeballs on it last year because of that. It's going to continue.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2. I'll lead this one off. I got the LA Chargers, a team that finished dead last in the AFC West last year with 5 wins, but they have a turnaround behind Jim Harbaugh. This is the Harbaugh-Herbert marriage, and pairing him with a quarterback guru, a guy that can coach him up real well, I think is going to be huge for them. They are going to have a more physical identity as an offense under Greg Roman as the new OC, and I think you can kind of see that by some of their signings. I mean, even at running back, Gus Edwards comes over from Baltimore. Roman was in Baltimore the last couple of years.
Good point.
And so I think that they're going to try to be a run-first team. And what does that do for Justin Herbert? I mean, how does that free him up? He doesn't have to be the guy that slings it 400 yards every game.
Takes pressure off of him.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, they lose a couple of key guys in their receiving room, veteran receivers. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is gone. But I think they have some promising rookies. They drafted your boy Ladd McConkey.
He's not my boy, but I do think he's going to catch a lot of passes.
Guy. Yeah, and then Quentin Johnston going into year 2. So I think that they have. And on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, Joey Bosa, can he stay healthy? If he can, I mean, I think you got him and Khalil Mack. They're going to get after the quarterback. Mack just quietly had a 17-sack season last year.
Did.
So
yeah,
I think they have enough playmakers, and I expect them to be in playoff contention this year.
Oh, really? Okay. If they make the playoffs, Harbaugh's getting Coach of the Year. I mean, you could go ahead and put that down. I struggled with the second place team in this division because I see 2 of these teams maybe ending up with the same record. So I'm going to go a little different than you there. I'm going to go with the Raiders finishing second. And I know that's crazy because you don't, Justin Herbert's this is a quarterback league. Justin Herbert's a proven quarterback, or maybe he's not. I don't know. He doesn't have a above 500 winning percentage yet during his time in the league. And then you've got the Raiders with a big question at quarterback. They didn't get one in the draft. The Falcons came up and drafted Penix, and so the Raiders are sitting there at 13th, and they don't get a guy. But I do think they got the best player in the draft, and that's Brock Bowers. And so either it's Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, and I think it's probably Minshew, and I think he's probably scrappy enough for them to eke out a few wins because of offense, but I think the reason I'm picking them to finish second over the Chargers is the defense. I think this is maybe the best defensive line in the NFL. Look, they made the big acquisition getting Christian Wilkins from the Dolphins, giving him $110 million for 4 years, but I think it's money well spent. He's great against the run and the pass. They've got, of course, Max Crosby, probably the NFL's defensive player of the year. Tyree Wilson was their 7th overall pick last season. He's coming along. And then you had Malcolm Kuntz, who had 8 sacks last year quietly. That's their defensive line. That's incredible. So I think when you've got a defense like that, and plus I really think that Antonio Pierce has gotten the players to buy in. I mean, the guy went 5-4 during his interim time last year, surprisingly beat the Chiefs on Christmas, or right before Christmas. That was wild. And so I think I can see Vegas has their win total at 6.5. I think it's over that. I see an 8-9 finish here, maybe 9 if Minshew's out of his mind. Wow. Let me bounce. Can I get to the Chargers now? Because I have to kind of, I think.
Well, let me give my. Can I get my win total for the Chargers?
Oh, please, sure.
I have them at 11-6.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely Coach of the Year for Harbaugh. If that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know about. Okay, so Harbaugh's definitely a great coach, and I think he's going to turn the Chargers around. I just don't know. They were 5-12 last year. I mean, you're looking at a 6-win improvement there.
Yeah.
And I know he did that with the 49ers when he came. I think they won 7 more games in his first season there, but that roster was better positioned to do that. This roster is kind of depleted here that he's inheriting.
A little bit, but you had guys that took pay cuts to return, star players that could have left. I know that they were in a salary cap situation that, they needed guys to kind of help out a little bit, but I mean, to me, they have just as much front-end talent as the Raiders, but they have a quarterback.
Well, look, do they? I mean, Herbert has thrown more.
And they have a coach that's proven.
They do have a coach that's proven. I want to see it in Justin Herbert, though. He has thrown more fourth-quarter interceptions in one-score games than any other quarterback in the league since his rookie season. So maybe you're right in the fact that this run-first mentality takes the pressure off of him. But I think their real weakness is their defense. They were 5th worst in total defense last year, 3rd worst against the pass, and they didn't add a lot in defense. So I think the offense will certainly be better.
Do you know who their defensive coordinator is? Jesse Minter. Where did he coach last year? He was Michigan's defensive coordinator the last few years. Yeah, Michigan had one of the best defenses. I think they're just going to run a more aggressive scheme. I think Derwin James is one of the best safeties in the league, and part of the issue, I think, for him is that these last few years, I don't think that system really fit him. I think he had too many responsibilities. I think they're going to free him up to play a game that's more in line with what he's good at. So, I mean, they have a lot of playmakers on defense too. Like the fact that they were 5-12 last year, I think, is more of an anomaly than it is something to expect this year. So, I mean, you made the point. I think your first point was the best point in that, like, you really have to have a quarterback to be good and competitive in this league.
Well, they had one last year. They had Justin Herbert last year, didn't they? And they were 5-12. Everyone agrees he's a talented guy, but, I mean, the results.
But the Raiders don't. The Raiders don't. You think they're going to have 9
wins? The Raiders
wins?
won more games last year than the Chargers without a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
they had
I think we're looking at 2 very
similar.
I think they're both around 8-9, both of those teams.
Okay. Well, I got the Raiders coming in 3rd. I got them at 7-10 this year, so a step back from last year by 1 game. Again, a lot of playmakers. I like Devontae Adams at receiver. They got Jacoby Meyer at receiver. I think Zamir White is a strong running back. He finished strong last year.
Yeah,
and Brock Bowers is good too. To say he's the best player in the draft, I mean, look, how do you quantify that? As a tight end, like in the NFL, like you're only going to get so many catches. You can only impact the game so much. I think that he's talented. He could be a very good NFL tight end, but I don't know. Just how much do you factor in as a rookie into that offense? How even like from blocking and everything. I mean, the guy could be elite in college. There's still a learning curve in the NFL. I just don't know if I see that turn.
Maybe I stretched there a little. I don't know, but he's different.
He's different, and I think that Crosby's a stud, and as you mentioned, to be able to solidify the middle there with Christian Watson or Wilkins, I think that's going to be big too. So, but I just have them finishing a couple games fewer than you.
What's
but
the
it looks
record?
like I got them at 7-10.
Okay.
Yeah. And not making the playoffs, obviously. All right, and rounding things out, we're both in agreement. The Denver Broncos, dead last.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're going to stink so bad?
because they're so thin, Scott. I mean, I don't know how they made it to 8-9 last season. But this is a proud franchise that hasn't been to the playoffs since 2015 when they won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. It's not going to happen anytime soon either. They're still in rebuild mode here after that disastrous Russell Wilson trade. They ate $85 million in cap space.
It's brutal
to get rid of him. That $53 million of that comes out this year, so they couldn't do much to fix their deficiencies. I mean, they go out and draft Bo Nix, which surprised a lot of people. I do think he's going to be a great fit for Sean Payton. He's very accurate. He's a good distributor of the ball, a good point guard. That's what Sean Payton likes, but not much around him. They did pick up Josh Reynolds at receiver, so pair him with Marvin Mims Jr.
If he can make a catch on fourth down, that'd be nice.
That would be good. That would help. Again, your quarterback room is behind. I don't know if Nick starts, but it's Jared Stidham or Zach Wilson.
It's not.
It's just going to be a long process. The defense was terrible against the pass last year. They were 30th overall. Vegas has their win total at 5.5. I think it's going to be 5. I think they're about 5-12.
Okay. Yeah, I got them at 5-12 as well. A lot of the same issues. I mean, their quarterback room is not good. I think Bo Nix is going to be a solid pro. I think he takes over at least at the latest mid-season.
Yeah, I think so.
And this guy's a super mature rookie too, which is going to get him on the field even quicker. But you lost Jerry Jeudy. I wasn't a big fan of Jeudy. I know you love him, but they still have Courtland Sutton and Marvin Mims, and you mentioned Josh Reynolds, who's suitable, but just not a ton of playmakers on that team. You talk about the cap hit that they had. That hurts in acquiring free agents. So I do think the turn's going to happen probably a little bit quicker than it sounds. I just think I just buy the trajectory of a good coach. I don't think that they're going to be down that long.
He's a great coach, but I think a couple years.
That division's going to be. You're always going to have KC and Patrick Mahomes at the top of that division. That's going to be tough to wrestle away anything from them. But if you can, I think Bo Nix is going to be good, and I think you'll see enough this year where you're like, okay. Like, you feel good. Bronco fans will feel good going into his second year, but this year it might be a little lean. So there we go. So we're mostly in agreement, but you just have we just
I wanted to disagree with you on one thing, and the Raiders. I'm going to go with a close second there.
Look, I was bullish on I think the Chargers last year too, and they just disappointed. Very, very bad.
We should have brought up our records from last year. Keep receipts, kind of thing. I don't think it would work out well for me, but I am curious.
We missed on a couple. Part of it, and I was bullish also on the Jets last year, and obviously nobody could have.
I think I was bullish on Russell Wilson.
Yeah. So were the Broncos, right? $85 million later. All right, coming up on the other side, we're going to talk a little NFC South because we have one of the newest coaches in the NFC South, Dave Canales, joining us on the other side, the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers. What's it going to be like to go up against Canales, who ran the offense here in Tampa Bay last year? Stay with us. The NODPOD's back after this.
I wonder if he's still handsome.
Chris, anytime we have a first-time guest, it's great, but when we have a second-time guest, they immediately launch into the title of friend of the show. And so we're welcoming in a friend of the show, the new Carolina Panthers head coach, Dave Canales. And Dave, I understand you're joining us from Seattle, so I wish I could send you a little humidity your way just to reminisce about the good old times here in Tampa. But here we are. Camp is 3 weeks away, and I guess the objective for you is it to clear your mind? Is it to get football on the back burner? Is it to just enjoy the family? What's kind of the mindset as we get ready for training camp?
Yeah, just the first couple of weeks have been just reflecting on the past 18 months, and I haven't really been back to Seattle since we left for Tampa, which would have been about 18 months ago. And so just to be back here, see some friends and family, kind of eating at some of our old spots, spent 13 years here. It's just been such a whirlwind the last, year and a half. So to sit here and just reflect my wife and the kids, like, how does it feel to be home? Just unpack it all, as we get ready to jump into Charlotte full time, and really make it home. My wife and 4 kids spent the last 2 weeks of our mini camp OTAs in Charlotte, but they were finishing up school in Tampa. So everything's gone by pretty quickly, man. So here we go.
Yeah, it feels like you may not have had time to get your bags unpacked from your move from Seattle to Tampa before it was time to pack up and move on up there to Charlotte. What has been the biggest difference? I know it's all been a whirlwind, but going from OC to the head coaching position, what's been the biggest? Maybe there's one thing that you didn't anticipate that was the biggest change for you to adjust to.
Yeah, I would say just understanding, the responsibility with the staff, and where as a coordinator, I got a good taste of what that's like. But then, as the head coach, it's not just football. Now it goes to other departments, and everyone's kind of like, okay, this is what we're thinking about doing. What do you think? And so making those decisions, leaning on a lot of experienced coaches, Dom Capers, who started the Panthers team in 1995, and then Jim Caldwell has been a head coach, and a couple of guys that have been around the block. So leaning on them for some of those decisions, but, just knowing like, okay, well, we're kind of waiting on you to set the calendar, to set the meeting times, to, to do those things. So that's been a challenge.
Coach, our time with you here in Tampa was so short, but in the limited window that we got to get to know you a little bit, one of the things I admire about you is how you prioritize things, and your faith and your family are, of course, paramount to you. But I mean, for the young kids in your crew, they adjust for, within the last year now, 2 major moves around the country. So how is it from their vantage point? I mean, how are they embracing the challenge of getting into a new school and meeting new neighbors and all that stuff that comes with replanting your family?
Yeah, that's definitely been a challenge, especially because my daughter was 2 months old when we came to Seattle, and we spent her first 13 years of her life here. So, and then my son, just like the soccer teams, the volleyball teams, the baseball teams, and kind of the normal rhythms we were used to. So that move was the hardest. And then this one in the transition and kind of the expectation leaving Tampa to go to Charlotte has been more, I think they have a little bit more confidence knowing that they made the move once, they met a bunch of new friends, found community in Tampa, which is just an unbelievable place, with just, some of the different areas and places we played baseball and volleyball, and for sure the Bucs family. But knowing that there will be another community, another family, I can feel a sense of confidence going into this move from my 2 older kids, and my daughters, B and Amaya, are 8 and 6, and they're kind of just like, all right, where are my parents at? Okay, we're good. So, but yeah, we're excited to get back to Charlotte and spend, about a week and a half before camp gets going, just poking our nose around town.
Well, Coach, obviously your pedigree as an quarterbacks coach and then an offensive coordinator with the Buccaneers, it's your offensive style that has really helped your star rise and put you where you are now in Charlotte. As you're getting a sense of this team and your personnel, and you guys have went through the draft, and wow, what a pickup in Jonathan Brooks. What is the key to taking this offense to a level that is more efficient than what we saw last year with Bryce Young at the helm?
Yeah, it all started up front, rebuilding the offensive line and taking some of the guys that were there, but then adding a couple of, really, high level offensive guards on the inside, with a bunch of good players who have some familiarity with the system. So it starts up front offensively, and then from there it's about teaching a system, exposing our players, especially Bryce, in the skill position, exposing them to different styles of play, and then really just spending that time as a staff, all of us together, to identify when do we look our best, and when do we look like we know what we're doing, there's ownership, we're playing fast, we're decisive, and then just taking those things and then, really trying to figure out our identity and becoming what we're going to become, which I know is going to take some time. It's going to take games, but it all starts certainly up front with, the run game and the pass protection. And I feel like we made some huge strides there.
You mentioned it, Chris, the draft and Jonathan Brooks, one of the guys that you picked up in the draft. But obviously you guys get a big playmaker receiver in Leggett. But what was that experience like, just as your first time kind of in the driver's seat to be able to be a part of that draft room, the war room experience, to be working hand in glove with Dan Morgan on how you were going to assemble some of the younger pieces coming in?
It was great, and it was always about the type of players that we're looking for. Smart, tough, and reliable, guys with high football character that we can depend on, that really attack their craft, that are hardworking, that are great teammates. And those are the profiles we look for. And out of our 7, draft picks, I can say that about each of them, and how well they do and what level of success they have as football players. That story will be told as they work hard and as we work to put them in position. But as far as the type of guys that we're looking for, I really felt like we nailed that, and it was a part of our discussion. If we go back to the film and we continue to add good football players, we will build a good football team over time. And so that was really exciting this year to be able to do that.
Let's talk about Bryce Young a little more. As I had the privilege of watching a lot of Bryce Young in college as an Alabama fan. I'm sure you watched a lot of his college film. And I told my Alabama fan friends when you were hired by the Panthers, I said, this is going to be the best thing for Bryce Young. I felt like this is going to be exactly what he needs, because the Bryce Young we saw last year, 59% completion percentage, 11 TDs to 10 interceptions. That is not Bryce Young. I mean, he is career in college, a 66% guy. His biggest weapon, I feel, is his processing, his ability to see things before they develop. What have you seen out of him already, and how do you anticipate helping him unlock what we all know his potential to be?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for the vote of confidence, for me coming in here, and really is a huge reason why, I was hired to be the head coach and to have that influence on Bryce, is to help him really maximize who he is. And what I've seen from him in a short amount of time is he's very accurate. So, whenever, I know it can be taken for granted at times, but when we're throwing routes on air, he places the ball in great spots for guys to continue to run after they catch it. And you might think, okay, well, he's an NFL quarterback, he should be accurate. Well, there's degrees of accuracy. And so to be able to see that firsthand gives me confidence. Is, well, if he can throw accurately, then I can teach him the rest. Let's get his footwork right. Let's sync that up with our concepts. And let's start making sure that we're going through our progressions the right way. And so that's where we're doing a lot of our work. But the cool part is he's got some carryover from Alabama. He saw a pro-style type of system while he was there with some of the different coordinators that they've had. And I really feel like he's going to be able to just build even on last year. Just watching the film from last year, it's some good stuff. It's a good system that they're running, and hopefully, we can continue to build on some of the things, the lessons he's learned. But he comes into it, I get the guy for the first time with 16 games under his belt. And, I just feel great about having that opportunity for him to actually see the different defenses, blitzes, coverages, pass rush, the things that the NFL will come at you with. And hopefully we can, get somewhere quicker because of that experience.
All right, let's take a quick break with Coach. When we come back, he's going to have to face these Buccaneers 2 times this season. Who's got the edge in that one? We'll discuss when the No Off Days podcast continues. We are joined by first-year head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Dave Canales. Coach, you grow up in the profession. You watch other head coaches, how they do it. You finally get your opportunity. How much do you pull from other guys? What are the guys that you pull most from in your past, or guys that you have watched and said, hey, if I do ever get the opportunity, I want to do something like what he does here? And how much of your stamp on this program is just unique to Dave Canales? It's your own kind of way of viewing things, maybe things that you saw other coaches do, and you say, you know what, that's great, but I have to do it my way, and my way is going to look like this.
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott, and I appreciate you asking because, I've really learned so much from guys that I've worked for over the years. Going back to my junior college days, and the late John Featherstone, who was there for 30 plus years, as he's a legend in Southern California junior college community. But the joy he had for the game, that I get to be with Pete for 14 years, and to really watch Pete just challenge the status quo, challenge us as coaches to think bigger, to see more. Like, don't just look at your position, see more of the play. You can see, you just keep challenging yourself, and over time, you'll be able to see more and more about what's happening, about finding our identity, our unique personality in football. His thing was always, hey, if you're going to be a head coach, don't do what I do just to do it. Like, put it all on the table and say, what are the things that I want to keep? And then how would I do this my way? How would I inject my personality and my energy, make it authentic, because you can sustain that if it's authentic. If you're trying to be something else, you'll get exhausted and you'll get burned out. And so just some great lessons there. And to spend a year with Todd Bowles and to watch his consistency, the way that he respected the staff, the way he gave us space to work, the way he wanted us to work efficiently, and really still be demanding of our guys, and he didn't waver, whether we were, in a losing streak or a winning streak. He didn't waver. He was the same. And to see that kind of character modeled for me, is really cool. So trying to just bring all those things together. And of course, my dad was a senior, pastor at our church for a long time in Carson, California. And the way that he led, the way that he inspired his staff, the way he inspired the congregation, and showed up every week, every Sunday. Those things for sure, impact the way that I approach my work and the way that I, treat and love people as we, work towards making this something successful.
Is there a moment, a memory, albeit in just the year's time in Tampa, that's going to stick with you?
There were some good ones.
The time you're on this podcast, the first time you're on this podcast, that's got to be one.
How can you forget that?
Oh, well, besides that, I mean, that's the obvious one, but I think to probably just the last stretch of the season, to feel all the hard work that we had done start to come together, and to feel like we had an identity, a rhythm. It just felt like it was a celebration, really, like the last, I would say, including the 2 playoff games, but I would say the last 5 or 6 games, it just felt like a celebration of a lot of hard work by a bunch of good dudes and dudettes, our different staffs, but just a lot of people working really hard to find an identity, and then to see it to actualize, to see Baker in his rhythm, to see Rashad White at his best, and Tristan and the guys, and Cade, and just speaking from an offensive standpoint, I think just the celebration of we know who we are going into every game, going into the Eagles game and the wild card as a different team than we played them the first time, different team that played the Lions than the first time we faced them, and to give them everything we had and bring it within a score. But it just felt like such a celebration. It felt lighter. It didn't feel like this thing, we had to prove anything. It was no, we're here. This is how we're doing things. We know exactly what we're doing, guys. Let's take care of the ball and let's go for it. And so I think just that whole window of the season in general. And I think, I'll never forget, Mike, getting his 10th straight 1,000 yards. I'll never forget just the storyline of Baker and leading the NFL third down, QB rating, and continuing to be at the top of those categories, and giving him, helping him get a career year. And so, some of those stories are really special to me,
Well, you hit on it there. And, coming out of the post-Brady era, for you guys to step in here, and you were a big part of a team that forged an identity and really started to build some momentum there later in the season. But it is a little bit unusual. Head coaches, guys get opportunities every year in this league, but a little bit unusual in that your first opportunity comes within the division against the team that you just left. So Bucs are going to meet you guys twice this year. The players, and you, of course, know the coaches. They know you, or at least think they know kind of what your offensive tendencies are. So advantage who when Carolina and Tampa Bay meet on the gridiron?
Honestly, I think it's like advantage NFC South. Like now I went against Todd in practice, and it's not a pretty sight. He's so good and he's so experienced and he's so aggressive. And so I got the highest level of respect for what we're going to have to play against. But I just think I look at the division and I look at the coaches that have been added. Clint Kubiak joining Dennis Allen in New Orleans. The Atlanta crew with Raheem and with Zach Robinson going over there and starting to do things, some defense and offense that I'm familiar with. To see Liam Cohen join the staff with the Bucs, and I just see a really strong division from a coaching standpoint, offensively and defensively. Avero, our defensive coordinator, was really difficult to go against last year. So I look at our division and I look at the challenge of, okay, now who can find their identity first? Because that's kind of each team kind of has a little bit of a starting point. Carolina carryover defensively, Bucs with Todd being there for a couple of years. Dennis Allen has been there, now a little different offense. And then really Atlanta's the one that's going to change schematically, but who can settle into their group, who can settle into their scheme the quickest, because I think that I have such high respect for the coaches that have been added, and I'm really excited, but also know that it's going to be a challenge. But I think the NFL is going to see a really good brand of football out of the NFC South this year.
Well, the days are ticking down fast, and we are all excited for it. I know you're a division rival right now, but you're an easy guy to root for. Head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Dave Canales. Dave, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Dave.
Hey, thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. We know that Brian King is always keeping us on our toes on this show, and I think that never more the case than when he fires up the old friendly randomizer. Is it the 3000? Is that what
it was? The 3000. I don't think we've upgraded.
We haven't. It's still the old style.
Okay.
We haven't done the update, the software update.
It's
good.
Sometimes getting the latest technology, it's like the update on your phone. Like I try to push it off.
Definitely.
When I get an update on my phone, like, hey, you got to update, and then you realize now I got to relearn how to do all these things.
Right.
It's, of course, taking more information from me.
The phone has relearned you in a lot of ways.
Now it's scanning my eyeballs now. And it's like,
And remember, they used to give you a choice whether or not you wanted to do the update. Now sometimes you pick this up and it's like, iOS update 27 has installed. Thank you very much. You're like, I didn't give you permission to do that.
Yeah, they've swapped out like your snooze button on your phone. You hit that and it just doesn't update now. I tricked you. Yeah. We're on to you. We're on to you, Apple.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the randomizer, though, doesn't have any of that.
It's
still
family
original.
friendly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still trusty. It's dependable. It's dependable.
Yeah. They don't make randomizers like they used to.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
That's why we want to get rid of it. You
How-
want to crank it up?
Yeah, how many questions are loaded in that thing?
Oh, total?
Yeah.
It's like, what did we say? Like 3,278 or something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So never know what's going to come out.
We don't.
But it usually provokes something.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, is 3,278 the way you would say that number?
I know what he means.
I mean, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Is that – I'm not a math guy.
327 and 8.
Reading the number and the commas misplaced. 3,200,000.
Hey,
Yeah.
trust me, when I help my kids out with their homework and they're doing math, they're in grade school, and I'm like, I don't know, how do you divide the fractions? I realize.
What do we do with this remainder? I don't know. Just hide it under the rug over there.
Exactly. All right, let's fire this puppy up.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, stop.
All right, would you rather be extremely lucky or extremely smart?
Ooh. Let's see. What could I do if I'm extremely smart? I don't know because I'm not. I'm going to go extremely smart because I feel like I can create my own luck. I'm a man who believes you make your own luck. Anyway.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
do.
what you believe?
Yeah, you make your own luck. So you can't make your own smarts, though. So I'm going to go extremely smart. If you're one of those guys like Elon Musk or Bill Gates, you don't need to be lucky because you got the smarts. You'll just create something.
Yes, Icarus. Didn't he try to, isn't that the story?
He was extremely not smart.
Yeah.
He flew too close to the sun.
That's what you're trying to do. You think that you can outsmart this randomizer, and no, that's the fault, is that you think you're so smart. But I think that the point here is that you can't be both lucky and smart in this question. So
I think you just made my point. You said I think I can outsmart it, but I don't think that. I
you-
want to be able to outsmart it. I want to be extremely smart.
Right. But I'm taking these as opposites, right? So if you're extremely smart, then you're maybe not as lucky. I would obviously, I'm in the results business, okay? I want the result to be good, and so for that, give me extremely lucky, because the worst thing would be to think that you're so smart, and yet you never get the breaks. It never goes your way, but if you're lucky, things happen to just kind of fall in for you. So
You can guarantee yourself good results
I feel
just
like
by being lucky?
If you were smart and things just never went your way, there would, I think, a feeling of helplessness would start to.
Could be
kinda,
depressing,
Yeah,
huh?
it's like, I'm so great. Why can't I? I usually think my way out of everything. There's Chris. You know?
Look at him.
Let me be dumb and lucky. That's how I want to be.
All right.
All right, let's
Very good.
fire up another one. Oh, BK, should we ask you? No.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Let's roll it.
Stop.
If you had all of the money in the world, what would you still not buy?
What would I still not buy?
You're assuming I'm not buying something now.
Do you have all the money?
I'm
in the
buying, well, no, but I have a lot of debt.
world? The Cybertruck, the Tesla Cybertruck. I
yeah.
think that thing's hideous.
I agree.
And what that's like about 150,000, something like that.
so.
I don't know. I mean, look. I think you always have the lottery comes out, and what would I do if I ever won that thing? You know, I think I would probably avoid I don't think I would buy a giant mansion. That's what I don't think I would buy.
No
I
mansion?
think I would buy a lot of moderately sized homes. That's what I.
like buy an entire development.
Yeah, I'd buy land. Yeah, I'd buy like different locations, but I don't think I would. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would buy my own plane. I wouldn't do that because that sucker will crash unless I'm lucky.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky, then no. But yeah, I don't know.
So the thing you wouldn't buy though is
A giant mansion. I don't think a giant mansion.
All right. I would not buy. You kind of touched on it there. I've never been a big car guy, so I don't. If I had all the money I could want, I don't think I would go get that new car. And plus, I just really don't see. So I am sometimes I fantasize about a car I might like. I really like the look of this Audi R8. Have you seen one of
Okay.
those?
No, I haven't.
Really sleek and sporty looking.
Oh, look at that thing.
Base price is like $180,000 base price for a new one. You could go buy a used one, 3 years older, maybe 20K miles on it for $140,000 or $130,000 depending.
That's a bargain.
I know. So, well, my point is, I just don't think there's a lot of value in a brand new car. I'm happy to get something that's still awesome, right? But as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's already depreciated. I'm happy to get something that's a couple years older, maybe a few miles on it, but pay a lot less money for it.
Really?
Yeah.
You would buy a used car if you had all the money in the world.
Slightly used. I'm not talking a jalopy.
Come on. I'm not buying that for a second. There's no way.
I would
BK,
buy.
do you buy that?
Because what's the difference, BK, in having a 2024 Audi R8 versus a 2021? The technology hasn't changed. They still look great as long as there's no, body damage or anything.
And then you're not paranoid driving if you're driving a brand new car because you probably have a ding in it if you're used and stuff. So yeah, it's easier to drive. So
You've
I got
seen
some
how
But if you
drive
have all
from
the money in the
Chris.
world, why would you be paranoid about a ding?
Because
You just
I
fix
didn't
it
grow
or
up.
Get a new car.
I didn't grow up with all the money in the world, so I'm still living as old poor Chris used to
Okay,
live.
but is old poor Chris living in a giant mansion?
Before I became
Yes. Yes.
yes, I would. Yes.
Elevators and escalators everywhere.
With a
Yeah.
big garage for my used car collection. Look at all of my 1998.
Hands off my LeSabre.
Yeah. Yep.
Say when.
Oh, stop.
What is something that you always procrastinate doing?
I did it today. I did it yesterday, and I did it the day
brush his
before that. No, look at these chompers. Are you kidding me? How dare you insult my dental hygiene? I even floss once in a while. It's getting ready for work. I work an evening shift, as you may know, Scott.
Correct.
And Brian. And so the advantage is you get up in the morning and you can get a lot of stuff done if you so choose, or you can lounge around like I did today for 2 hours and drink coffee and make baseball picks. But the point being, when it's time to start getting in the shower and getting ready for work, I find something else. I need to go do this real quick. Yes. I put it off, and then I'm always running behind because of that. I always procrastinate.
I have to be to work in 5 minutes, and I'm still in my pajamas.
Yeah.
No.
That's one I do almost every day, and I always promise. I say next day I'm not going to do this. I'm going to start getting ready earlier. Never do.
Yeah, I'm bad at that. Everything. I procrastinate just about everything. So that's a character flaw, because it probably means that I don't take things seriously that I should. I'm not as responsible as I need to be. I need to grow up a little bit.
I've often said that about you.
Maybe that's the problem. If I had to target like one thing that it always hits me every year. It's like it's buying gifts for people, and usually it happens right around Christmas. Now, thank God my wife handles some of that. Our kid's birthday, she's great about that. She's on top of it. But like, if I'm buying something for her, for instance, like I'll think, okay, what does she want? And then I will wait, because I just lean on Amazon or whatever to buy it at the last minute, and I just assume everything can be at my house in the next 2 days.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like the one thing I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And then I realize that's going to take 2 weeks to get here. That always happens.
Yeah.
So it's like the one item I really wanted to get, I probably needed to think about 3 weeks ago.
Right.
So I procrastinate when it comes to getting gifts.
And don't you get your hit with the double whammy, right? Of your anniversary and her birthday, I think, are like right there together.
They are. How about that?
So yeah. So you should.
You're so
you didn't know that. I should start reminding you when it's time to order things.
Hey, once Christmas rolls around, it's just like every 2 weeks.
That's
every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, that's why the thing, when you think about that thing and you realize, oh, it's not going to come for 2 weeks, you should just go ahead and order it then, because there's another occasion. No, there's another thing rolling around the corner.
That's true.
Yeah,
well, that's a good idea. I'm going to procrastinate at putting that into play. Okay. What about you, BK?
Here at work, it's building graphics. I do not like building graphics, but at home, it's like the gifts. Every year, November rolls around, it's a Halloween, and I'm going, all right, this year, I'm really going to concentrate on gifts. I'm going to knock it out before Thanksgiving.
What are the things that you don't procrastinate at all, that some people do, but like for you, you're on top of it? Is there one of those things?
I don't know. I hate dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
So I have to clean it up.
Mm-hmm. I do this. I'm the same way with that.
Oh.
I don't want to mess.
So your wife just plays the waiting game with you? She knows
does.
that you can't stand it. So
I'll get to that. No,
Yeah.
it's a thing. I just don't like dishes in the sink. Maybe it's an Alabama thing if Cato likes it.
Yeah, that's one. My paper plates are dirty. I gotta wash them. No, I'm that way too. And also, I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah. Well,
is there one like that for you?
I mean, I generally get my taxes done like right out of the gates, because I'm hoping I get a return.
You want that money?
I feel like I'm playing the lotto. Come on, baby. Bring me something.
Extremely lucky Scott strikes again. Here's the one I thought of. When I get back from a trip, I unpack the suitcase immediately.
Me too.
That. I do not want that thing sitting there in my...
With all those bed bugs crawling around in your clothes.
Well, just the thing to trip over when you get up to use the bathroom at night. And I used to have someone in my life who that was anathema to this person. Like, that thing would sit there. If I didn't touch it, it would sit there for 6 months.
For your next trip?
For the next trip. It's already packed. Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's fire it up one more time. Stop.
What is something that was terrible as a kid but is now awesome as an adult? Oh, this is easy for me.
Okay. Is this me first or you? I'll take it. Probably, I don't know, like road trips. When I was a kid, like road trips, I mean, we didn't have technology like that. I mean, I grew up, back in the wagon and the buggy days. I mean, so there's nothing like my kids now. We go on a long road trip. It's like they got a device or they're watching a movie. We just sat and stared out the window and we played the alphabet game. We looked at license plates. We made funny faces at the cars. We tried to get the trucks to honk at you. But like, and they were just boring.
You ever played 20 questions? Games like that?
Yeah. Depending on the length of the trip, it might be like 50 questions. But I would say road trips probably better. I think. Honestly, probably being alone. As a kid, you feel like you need someone to friends. You need to go do things. And now, like as an adult, I just kind of you kind of like the quiet time where you could like actually read a book would probably be one of them too.
Or
Like,
just hear your own thoughts
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. I'd say it's this is ironic, but it's sports talk radio. When I was a kid, my dad always had it on in the car or even at home. Like he had this little in the window, a little radio that he would, while eating breakfast, we're listening to these guys talk about Alabama football and other. And I thought it was so boring as a kid. I was like, how can someone sit there and listen to other men talk? Like, I want to hear music.
Okay.
Like,
you have to stop right now saying this.
I know. They're going to clip that out of here, and that's all they're going to play is how can you sit there and listen to other men talk? Yeah, I thought it was so boring, but now that's all I do. If I'm on a long road trip, I'm listening to sports talk. If I'm exercising, I'm listening to sports talk. Yeah.
Which, might I add, the NODPOD is available in Apple iTunes, Google Play Store, and great for road trips.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And you can listen to it in 1.5 speed
I think
as well.
Now we've closed in on 90 episodes. So, I mean, there you go, 90 hours of enjoyment. BK, what about for you?
Oh, this is simple. It's naps. I hated naps as a kid. I would take a nap every single day right now as an adult. Oh,
Yeah.
I could do it. Simple, yeah.
Show us. Prove it right now.
I could. Well, hearing your first segment almost put me to sleep.
Oh, he woke up during the Chargers.
All right.
Yeah.
Salty. I like it. I'm not a big napper. Can't do the naps.
Yeah.
I feel like it's,
I find them to be a tease. If golf is on sometime, that's another thing. As a kid, I didn't like watching golf. Now I love watching golf.
Because it puts you to sleep?
Yeah, yeah, I can nap. Yeah.
Finally get some rest. Okay,
Right.
very good.
Yep. Are we
All
done?
right.
Anything else?
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Okay. All right.
Used up all the questions
Thank
in the
you,
randomizer.
That was fun. Good times.
All right. Go get that nap, buddy.
All right, very good. Big thanks to our NODPOD crew here. We got Sarah working the jib. We got Ronnie on the ones and twos. BK back in the booth for Chris. Thanks, Dave Canales, for being on our show, friend of the show. Until the next time we are on, there are no off days.
Episode 90, huh?
I think so.
Something like
Are we
that?
there? I think we're
91.
there.